What is going on, everybody? Welcome to House Chat Sports Edition. I'm your host, Rob Eggers, alongside my brother, Roy Herman. How you doing, brother? How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing just good, my friend. My
Yes.
Bruins won last night, that epic Game 7.
I know,
so
man.
I'm sitting pretty right now, brother.
Frickin' Bruins. I tell you what, you got a lot of cool stuff behind there, and some of the cool stuff you got behind you is because of one man, the two-time guest coming on the show today. And let's bring him on in. Coach Paul Dunn. How we doing, Coach? Welcome to the show, Coach. How we doing?
Hey, guys. How are you? Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo to you. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Post Kentucky Derby Day. You know,
yes.
You need a lot of recovering after the Derby Day. That's for sure.
Are you playing the hair of the dog right now?
I am playing the hair of the dog. Yeah. So
I would be too.
Get away from the dog.
I would be too. And that's what I want to get into, Coach. So you know, this is one thing you and I talked about off camera is that we have some in common. My family, going to my dad's side, huge Derby fans, and they've been doing it since my grandfather was a teenager, I would assume. And he taught his whole family. He had 8 kids, including my father, number 4 of 8, and they were all Derby fans. So tell us a little bit about your tradition with the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, well, mine started with my mother and father and my grandmother and grandfather. They used to come over on Derby Day, and everybody would put $1 in the hat, and you know, you'd pick a horse or a number, and you'd watch the Derby, and my grandmother would end up walking out with the money, but she never really walked out with the money. She was a lucky old Irish girl, and she never really walked out with the money because she'd take the $20 and she'd give each one of us kids about $3 a piece. You know, I'm the youngest of 6 as well, so. But she would never take the money, even though she won the pot every year. So
right.
I get into it, and I do a little things with 4 of my buddies. Okay, one of them, Coach Russ Grimm, the Hall of Famer from the Chicago, Washington Redskin Hogs.
Right.
And you know, Russ was in coaching his whole life, so we talk on Derby week, and we do all those things. Another's a horseman that I befriended out in Kentucky, Steve Parrish, and Steve actually sells horse insurance. That's what he's done for his life, and very, very successful. And then I have Gene Metz, who's a former coach, okay, and Dan McCarthy, who was my horse buddy all my times up in Cincinnati. So I converse with those 4 guys in the beginning of the week, and I put a little scrib sheet together here, okay, all right, that you can kind of see
and let me get a little close up.
All the horses, and that's just kind of like the little lineup. Now
I like the old school too. You're going old school with that.
If you can,
pen and paper.
If you can believe it or not, all right, that somebody could spend actually an all-day Friday. Let me get it over there. All-day Friday, right, for the Oaks, which people don't realize in Kentucky. The Oaks is that's when the Kentucky people go to the Derby, really. They don't go on Derby Day. That number 5 horse right there, that horse was the winner of the Oaks. Leads me to my story. I didn't stop there. I didn't cash a ticket at Oaks Day. So I went back to try to get revenge on Saturday right here, all right, at our OTB place. And right there, you know, there is your winner, Mystic Dan, right? So
what were the odds of him? What were his odds?
I think he went off, he was at high odds, but, you know, us 4 guys and myself, we converse on who we like, what we do, you know. And, of course, my buddy Dan McCarthy and my buddy Russ Grimm. Russ hit big. He hit for a lot of money. So he hit the exacta times 5, and he hit the winning horse times 10. So he had about 120 invested, and he got about 1,000 back. So
So
Pretty good.
he bought all the Woodford reserves for everybody that day in old fashions, right? The tab
Yeah,
was on good old Russ.
yeah. So if you've never been to the Derby, a lot of people say it's a bucket list. If you get an
Yeah.
opportunity, you go and you have a lot of fun. I mean, I've been to derbies where I haven't seen a live horse the whole day, and you get stuck in that infield. Of course, I'm getting a lot older, so I don't go into that infield anymore. But you get in that infield and hey, strap it on, look out, man. You just never know what's going to happen.
Right.
But you watch all the races from a big screen in the infield, and you just see every crazy person in the world in the infield. But it's kind of a cool thing. And then I've been there, and I've been close to Millionaire Row, where I see Tom Brady and all the boys walk in their nice little suits. And Chris Redmond, one of our backup quarterbacks, is a hero in Louisville, a legend.
Mm-hmm.
And he always invites all the boys in and brings them up to Millionaires Row and has a big day in Louisville for that day. So good memories of that. Not so good memories of the last 2 days, because I wish I would have cashed a ticket, something that would have brought me back for next year, but I'm sure I'll be there. And this is what ends up happening. I collect these here. Okay. And these are Woodford Reserve. How do I got to get it? Over here.
Oh, you're right there. Perfect. Right in the center.
Yeah, Woodford Reserve. Okay. Now you can see this one is empty. All right. But this is the 150th edition. And Woodford Reserve comes out with these. And I always buy 2 bottles. I put one away. So, when they put me under in the ground, my son can take that. And bourbon's supposed to get better with age. But there is one bottle that my wife and I do drink. And we had some mint juleps yesterday, and lights out.
Yeah, I tell you what, that Woodford Reserve is so good. I like drinking it on the rocks for a conversational piece like today. I don't have any Woodford on me today, though, but I do have a little bit of pirate water. And
there you go.
It is green, so it's kind of interfering with my green screen, but it's a 10% margarita. And you know what? For what me and Roy had went through today with technology, why not? Right, Roy? Good old and I'll leave it on you
Yes.
there. I'm going to click this open for everyone. Cheers to you, Coach, for coming on. Cheers to
All
everyone.
right.
Happy Sunday.
Yeah,
And
I got a
cheers to
couple
you, Roy.
things to. Cheers to you too. I got a couple things for Coach since we're on horse racing. Walk down memory lane, because I remember being a kid in the 80s growing up, and we had a racetrack here in Chicago, which is now owned by the Chicago Bears in Arlington Heights. But we used to have an announcer out here by the name of Phil Georgieff, legendary. And at the Bulls games, they would do these little Dunkin' Donut races and stuff, and they would pipe in Phil Georgieff's voice. And he was just amazing, and God rest his soul. And then we had a jockey out here by the name of Pat Day, who was a little guy. And I remember my neighbor had horses and was involved in horse racing. As a kid, I was like, why is this guy so little, on a horse? And they're like, well, you don't want a 6'5" big person on a horse. You want to be aerodynamic, right? But I would ask you, as far as betting on the horses, right? There's got to be some type of a science. Like, okay, with that NFL, you look at teams and you go, well, who's healthy, who's not healthy? How do you? What are the analytics on horse racing? I mean, all the horses are bred to the best of their abilities, but what does it get down to? I mean, are there people out there with stopwatches timing these horses in practices? Can people scout them, or is it really a guarded secret and you can't get near them? Just bring me back. Since this is backstage, bring us behind the scenes on, how this works and how do you make a decision on what horse to bet other than a cool name?
Well, first off, again, I hope you can see that. What's that say, Roy?
Churchill Downs?
The Pat Day Mile.
Day. I see.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
the Pat Day Mile.
Yes, Pat Day.
There you go. So you do know your horse race, and Pat Day was a great jockey in his time, and a super, super jockey. But to answer your question, times are very important. Conditions are very important. On, did the horse run in mud? Is he a turf horse? Is he a dirt horse, or is he a synthetic horse? The breeding of the horse itself, what kind of breeding was involved. How much did they pay for the horse? Was the horse's sire, was he a champion? Did he ever win? Was the dam her champion? And they even go down into the grandparents, you know? So yes, the Kentucky people and horse people in general, you know, they take all of that into account. But here's the ticket, okay? I told you Russ Grimm just won a lot. So he said that he knew that Mystic Dan was going to win by a whisker yesterday. So he knew it, that was the case. He didn't look at times. He didn't look at anything. He just knew that Mystic Dan, the horse that won that Kentucky Derby yesterday, was going to win by a whisker. And that's exactly what he won by, was a whisker.
It's insane.
Wow.
My wife and daughter.
I'm going to need Mr. Grimm's number next year.
Yeah, my wife and daughter, they're silks people, right? So the horse comes out and they got the really pink silks on. They're going to bet on the pink horse. You know, if they have a shamrock on the back of their thing, they're going to bet on that. They're going to like the green hat, whatever it may be, you know? So that's horse racing. It can go any way that you want.
That's what's fun about it. You know, here in Chicago, we have a local radio station, and they had a traffic reporter by the name of Marty Jones. And I'm going back into like the early to mid 2000s. And I listened to this morning show. And at the time, this was around like maybe 2005, but Smarty Jones was racing. So they were teasing her, and they said, well, Marty, are you going to bet on Smarty? And she goes, absolutely. And then Smarty Jones won. So I don't know how much money she won, but, you know, I mean, that's just kind of a cool little story and coincidence, you know.
Right.
On how some of that stuff can work out sometimes. So,
yeah, I won a lot of money on Smarty Jones. As a matter of fact, I have a Smarty Jones that when he won the Derby, I have the picture of the Derby parade in my office in there. So yeah, pretty cool.
That's neat.
Wow, that's so cool.
So I want to give a shout out to everyone so far. We're live here on Facebook. We're live here on YouTube. We're live here on Twitter X. I want to say hi to all our fans. If you haven't already, if you're new to our channels, make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to follow us on Facebook as well at HJC Media Group. We are also partnered with Dubby, so make sure to get your jitterless energy going. Only 150 milligrams of caffeine, no dyes, no fillers, and the best part is it's made in the USA. So make sure you use our HJC Media Group code at checkout and get yourself a starter pack, because it's pretty good. Love it. So with that said, Coach, we're going to get right into it. The NFL IPP.
You know what? Screw the starter pack. Get a tub of it, Rob. Get a tub. Get a tub, man. Go all in. Come on.
Screw it. Get a
starter pack. Spend some money.
Hey, take the whole thing.
Hey, Rob. Before you
I'm drinking mine right now. I'm on number 2.
I love you, Roy. I love you. That's great. But before you get into that, I want to end one horse story, okay?
Okay, yes. Let's go. Let's go for it.
So that trainer, who basically is the coach, right? The trainer's the coach. All right? That trainer is my buddy's friend, Kenny McPeak. And Kenny was 0 for 9 in Derby starts, okay? So yesterday. And that jockey was Brian Hernandez Jr. And Brian Hernandez Jr. was 0 for 4 in Derby starts until yesterday. Kenny McPeak not only won the Derby, he won the day before in the Oaks too. So he was a double winner. He had a really, really good weekend. So, but you know, the moral of that is it's even in horse racing, which is a sport, you know, you never give up. These guys were 0 for 9 and 0 for 4. And look at what they did. They won a Kentucky Derby by, as my buddy Coach Grimm said, a freaking whisker.
That's insane. It's just a great story. There's a lot of history that I've been totally a part of.
It's awesome.
You know,
you ever hear the joke about in high school? We had a joke in high school. You'd walk up to somebody and go, "Who won the horse race last night?" They go, "I don't know." And so you'd punch them in the leg and you'd say Charlie Horse, and then you pull a hair on their head and you'd say by a hair.
Woo!
Good times.
I love it. So
All right.
Roy's on a little
try it
bit
out
of
with
a
some of your
buffer
buddies.
delay.
Yours.
Roy's on a little bit of a buffer delay. I can tell you're on a little bit of a buffer delay. So
Yeah, that's a clean one too, Roy. I like it.
yes, I like that joke. But I just want to let everyone know we have Coach Paul Dunn on. Had opportunity to work with him for the past 2 seasons for the International Players Pathway, the development for 10 weeks of players. And Coach, I know you're going to have some proud stories, and I'm going to be showing you something that you haven't seen yet when it comes to our guy Big B Bayron Matos. So he has many names. Probably one of the most energetic people I've ever met when it comes to energy on the field and the goofball as well. So I know you have probably a lot of stories for him, and I think they have some properties still to pick up from you too, don't they?
Yeah, they got all their stuff in my garage. I'm giving them one more week. If they don't come and get it, okay, I'm putting it out at the trash curb. So they'll get a picture from me with their suitcases and their luggage out on the curb, ready for trash pickup.
I love it, and that's the kind of banter that we were having as well on the field, which I think was so much fun for the past 10 weeks for me. You're still going. You said you had 13 weeks, and is it still going on right now, or is it? Are you pretty much done for this season? Is everything good now?
They're at their respective clubs right now. You know,
Okay.
Travis up with the Bills and Bayron with Miami, and of course Lewis with Kansas City, and Charlie's with New Orleans, and Patrick's with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think even the punter Harry Millinger got picked up by the Eagles. So they're all up. they're at work right now.
Yes, and he listened to me. He listened to me. I said, make sure to go to the Eagles, and if you want to win a Super Bowl. I'm just saying. I mean,
Harry,
I told Harry that. I said, go to the Eagles, and he knew I was messing around. But in reality, that's amazing. I'm very happy for all of them.
Yeah, we are too. And I waited around here all weekend. I normally don't watch the draft, to be quite honest with you. When you're a football coach of 40 plus years, last thing you want to do is be sitting in on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday watching draft football or whatever. But obviously, with the interest that I had in these two young men and just not knowing where they were going to go, I had no clue. But anyhow, I sat in and I finally broke down on Sunday. My son asked me to go out and look for a truck for him. So we went out in the afternoon and we just got back before the 7th round was getting started. He and I sat on the couch. We had a beer. He watched a couple selections with me and he says, Dad, I got to get out of here. And as soon as those words came out of his mouth, the Buffalo Bills with the first pick in the 7th round select Travis Clayton, okay, from Britain. And him and I went crazy. And then it was kind of, Roy. It was kind of like, okay. And then the phone rang and it was Travis and all the boys, Lewis, Patrick, Charlie, all the guys that were there, Bayron, and they were just going crazy right there on the stage with James. And James did that for me. And it was really cool. Really, really cool.
I gave James a text message and I said to him, I'm very proud. And I just let the guys know from the bottom of my heart, I've been cheering for them. I love those guys. And James says, will do. Thanks, man. And, he hit me back right away. I mean, I waited after the moment was done. And I told you off camera, I told you guys that I was at a friend's house helping him move his stuff in. I said, hey, man, let's have the draft down in the background. I'm expecting at least one of the guys to get drafted today. So yeah, absolutely. Sure shit, an hour later, for the 221 pick overall, the Buffalo Bills pick Clayton, Travis Clayton. And I'm like, holy crap, to the Buffalo Bills. And then I heard a story, and we can, I don't know if he was told this in an interview. I forget where I saw this from. I think it was right after he was doing the interviews with the Buffalo Press. So where all the guys sit down and they talk to their respectful cities and with the organization. And he says, I was so excited that I was actually walking the wrong way. I don't know if did he tell you that story?
No.
He said he was so excited and so pumped up. He was walking the wrong way, almost missed his cue to get onto the stage. And me and Roy were talking about it. We kind of like how they did the professional wrestling stage. You know, you get called up and you kind of go down with some intro music. They put their respectful organizational hats on into the mirror with the camera, and then they walk out to a crowd full of people cheering for them or booing them, depending on, you know, what rivalry team is standing right next to you. But I think the NFL did a great job overall, and to showcase the NFL IPP this year is just amazing. And I don't know, Coach, do you feel, and I'll let Roy have the next question here, do you feel that this year's IPP hit a little bit differently, not taking anything away from any of the other IPP classes, but do you feel this year just hit a little different than most recent years?
Yeah, no doubt. You know, this class has James Cook's fingerprints all over it. And, you know, it's a very successful class because of him and his staff and all the guys that he put together. And, yeah, it has a whole different flavor. It right from the NFL UK filming all that. I've had several comments from people saying that is one of the you know, top things that they've watched. There's more people that have watched that internationally than there has been the Super Bowl. So it gives a little backstage of what these guys are all about. You know, and it was really done well. But as far as the success of the class, you just continue first year with kickers and punters, you know, and the men that came back for year two, like Patrick Murtaugh, and was successful in going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, it had a whole different flair to it. It really did. And very, very good vibes. And then, of course, everything ending in Detroit with, you know, the first man from Britain to get selected in the NFL draft and the first Dominican to sign a NFL contract with the Miami Dolphins in Bayron. You know, and the guys had their flags on them, and yeah, it was really, really great to see. You know.
Yeah, and when Roy's, I'm going to let Roy go next. And after you ask this next question, I want to show you some video with Travis and Bayron. So I think you're going to really appreciate this one. So go ahead, Roy. Go ahead, Roy. He's on a buffer.
Yeah, Coach, we were talking a little bit about in the pregame show about Tory Taylor. Okay, so Tory Taylor, who's Australian, by the way, he played for your one of your good friends, Kurt Ferentz, down in Iowa. Even though he didn't come out of the the IPP program, still being from Australia, that's got to be a good a commercial infomercial when you guys are recruiting players or people from other countries to come into the IPP and get you know, foreign players interested in it. So I think that's got to be something that you guys would maybe want to promote and say, hey, here's a guy right here. Come join the IPP if you want to be like him, and we can get you to Iowa or wherever it is you are going to be able to make some money. What are your thoughts on that, Coach?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Roy. I just seen where the Eagles signed a young man from down under who doesn't have any football experience whatsoever, IPP experience, none, but they signed him to a free agent contract. He's going to be their international player. And Coach Stoutland there, you know, who's the guy who had Jordy, he's done a great job with those guys. So he'll know exactly what this young man needs and give him an opportunity. And how about Jordy doing the first pick from Australia?
I love that. That was awesome.
And our former director, Will Bryce, starting that academy out there, okay, in Australia, that is going to be awesome. I mean, it's going to give these young men an opportunity and a pathway into not only the NFL, but into colleges.
Right.
And, you know, future scholarships. And obviously when they're dealing with the college teams, that means an education. Okay. And yeah, it's just a lot of really good things that are going on there. So it was great to see Jordan. It was great to see him pump up, as he said, Uncle Roger. He called Roger Goodell Uncle Roger. And I just got sent an article today, as a matter of fact, with Jordan. Yeah, this isn't about Jordan, but this is the kind of guy he is. He showed up to the, it was rookie mini camp this weekend in Philadelphia, and he showed up to the rookie mini camp along with AJ Brown.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they don't have to do that.
No, they don't.
They're required to do that, but they did, and they both sat in on the meetings and did whatever they had to do. And yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. One of my buddies sent me that today.
What's really cool about that too is we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. We talk about them winning the draft, basically, right? I mean, let's be real. I'm not being biased. Even the media said it, that the Philadelphia Eagles probably had one of the best drafts they've ever had in their entire franchise, the franchise history. They covered all the holes. They covered every single area they needed to cover in their secondary. The defense is only getting better, faster, quicker. With losing Fletcher Cox to retirement, Jason Kelce on the offensive side of the ball, which was the machine, the man. You're never going to have another Jason Kelce on the Philadelphia Eagles ever again, in my opinion. And staying with the Philadelphia Eagles for as long as he did to start his career and to end his career is very hard to do, as you know, Coach, in the NFL. So with that said, do you feel Jordan is going to be and Lane are going to be more of the leaders on the front line moving forward with the Philadelphia Eagles? And the second part of that question, do you see the Philadelphia Eagles possibly meeting the Kansas City Chiefs for another Super Bowl?
Well, I'll defer that one to Roy with his Bears flag back there. He's obviously got Super Bowl aspirations as well. But everybody, they kind of laugh when you tell them this. My wife tells them all the time. When I was employed in the NFL, they'd always say, "Well, you come from Philadelphia. Your team's got to be the Philadelphia Eagles, right?" Well, no. My team was whatever team was putting bread on my table at that particular time. And, they do the same thing with my wife. She grew up Pittsburgh Steelers. Right. Heck, I got to suffer with these terrible towels in the house and all that. And, who do you root for? Who do you root for? The Steelers? Well, now that we're down here in Tampa and this is our home, we're Tampa Bay Buck fans. Okay. We support the locals. We're Tampa Bay Ray fans. We're Tampa Bay Lightning fans. And even though, both of us grew up in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, which are great sports towns, and they would be probably our second favorite. So, if the Eagles are going to play Kansas City again, I don't know, Rob. That's a long season, and a lot of things have to happen for both of those teams to get back into it. But they certainly have some of the pieces of the puzzle, and I'll certainly have an interest in both of those teams since they have Lewis of Wales there now, and Chu and Jordan with the Eagles, and possibly Harry Mellinger are all IPP guys, and they have a guy there also in the background that's an IPP guy. So with the Philadelphia Eagles, and so it's all good, all good.
I love it. And just want to give everyone a reminder here. We're having a little bit of a buffer for Roy. So Roy might be on a little bit of a delay here, which is okay. Roy, do you have another question for Coach Dunnie? So a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, coming up in the NFL season, I read where the bubble helmets, those blue helmets that have the Lego-looking type things on them. Some of the players, they wear them in practice, right, for safety games. Do you think we will see that? And is that?
We might have to get Roy on. Hey, Roy, you might have to reset here, brother, and come back in. But I don't know. Did you hear everything he said, Coach?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I can answer that. I think anything that is developed through manufacturing companies to make the game safer for the players, obviously we'll have an opportunity to see. And if it is deemed that those helmets that kind of look funny but are more protective for a player for head injuries, then yes, I could see that very well happening, that they'll go to those helmets. Yes.
And That's another thing too, Coach. Is Roy's going to do a quick reset, real quick. We want to try to get him online here. He
Mhm.
just changed his internet too. The internet is at like 1,200 megabytes per second, so I don't know what's going on with that. But anywho, he did show that to me, and CBS did report that. And I'm seeing a lot more kids. Obviously, you've seen at IMG, a lot of the younger kids they are
Yeah.
putting those on. I feel that would help with more protection, and not only that for the NFL, everyone needs to remember, and Coach, I know, can back me on this, is that the NFL is a top tier, uh more of like a brothers club, right? A big brother, and everyone's going to look up to the big brother. And when you're looking at colleges, high schools, even IMG Academy, for example, that we had the pleasure to work with some of the talent that's there as well. And I feel, just going back to Dave Dorson and what happened with him with CTE and all that, I feel that this is possibly going to be a very smart move moving forward into the future. I don't know if they're going to start doing a little bit more technology by using those caps to kind of incorporate and mush everything together into a new technology of a helmet. Do you feel that's the next step of what they're trying to accomplish here in the NFL, to kind of show more of what safety and showing that head injuries are very, very, very serious, and it's not something for the stubborn people out there? If you get hit pretty hard, what is the first thing, Coach, that you probably dealt with some players out there? Are you okay? You got whacked pretty good in the head. I'm fine, Coach. Leave me alone. I'm good. I'm getting back in the game. Well, that's what we're trying. That's what the NFL is trying to stop, right? That's
Yeah.
what's going on, to kind of, refresh everyone's memory, and people are like, oh, well, those look stupid. Those are so big and crowned on the head. Well,
Yeah. If
I
they,
think
like I
safety
said
first.
earlier,
Mhm.
if they prove from a manufacturer's standpoint that those helmets are safer for the men to wear, no matter if it's at the professional level, at the college level,
Mhm.
high school, middle school, little league, Pop Warner, then they will implement those helmets and for the safety of the players, and should, obviously should, technology should say to us that, hey, if these are safer for the players, heck yeah, let's go do it.
Nice. And we're welcoming back Roy. I know Roy having a little bit of buffer issues. It's okay.
All right, Roy, you
Uh,
buffer man, you.
buffer man, you buffer. So he might be having some issues. Roy, worst case scenario, man, you might have to try it on your phone again and see if that works. But Coach had a really good response to your question. I
All
think
right.
it's all going to come down to safety. It's all going to come down to what the league's going to have to look into the analytics, in my opinion, of how many head injuries compared to anything else with their concussion protocol moving forward. And I think the NFL has done a great job doing so with the head injuries, because I've suffered a couple concussions myself playing football, and one of them, Roy, when we were younger, in our good old cancer field where we used to play behind a bunch of power lines. Coach, we called it cancer field for a reason.
Mhm.
We played in the field there for many years with a bunch of power line, good old, whatever
Who
you
was
want to call
tougher,
it.
you or Roy?
I think we're both. I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna answer for him. But Roy was a beast. He was a fullback coming out the back there. He was like a Christian Okoye from the Kansas City Chiefs
You
back in
talk
the
about
day.
a fight ready to happen, right? Okay, I can mix it up right here. All
Yeah,
right.
UFC
Bottom line
302.
is
Let's go.
you did not throw Roy under the bus. Okay. So you're prepping right up for this WWF. I know you are.
Yes,
Right,
that's right.
Roy?
That's right. I don't remember those concussions, Rob, that you had, but I just remember we didn't play with pads. We played tackle. What some of the little kids we did the two-hand touch, but we just went out there and we played football in the field and the grass. And I don't remember too many injuries, but you hit those concussions well if you had them. Because I don't remember those. I'm sorry to hear
I had
those.
I had one
I
in
thought I knew
cancer
about
field,
you.
and then I had one in when I was in fifth grade. There was a kid that put his foot out and pretty much did a donkey kick at me when I was trying to tackle his feet, and he donkey kicked me right in the side of the head. And it was
Wow.
I don't remember anything from that when going into the nurse's office. I had a headache, I was throwing up, all that stuff. So I had a nice little concussion. Want to give a shout out to all the people watching in on YouTube, Facebook, and on good old Twitter X right now. Say hi to my brother. My brother's in the room. Daniel, how you doing? He's saying, hi, coach. He was joking around with me saying, would you rather own the Philadelphia Eagles or a dirty trash can? Coming from a man that was a 49ers fan and knows nothing about football. Love you, brother. No, but he said he was just kidding. So wanted to give a shout out to my brother watching in, and it's awesome to see the support from him. But moving forward with that said, too, I want to go ahead and pull this up, as I told you I was gonna. And ladies and gentlemen, coach is going to be seeing this for the first time. Two things, one from Travis, and then we're going to get into good old Bayron. So let's pull up. This is Travis's IG. You can follow Travis at Travis_C17, which is also on the bottom of the W ticker, everybody. W ticker once again. And I'll be showing you guys a cool video here at the end that I made for W, which Roy laughed his ass off for this one. But here's what Travis had to say, coach, after he got drafted.
Fans for sticking by me and supporting me. And look, I made it to the NFL. Now it's time to represent and show the rest of the world exactly why UK athletes should play in the NFL. Let's go Bills. Just want to shout out all the UK.
Well, there's that. And
Awesome.
And you can see how happy he is. And, you know, he was all, I mean, and I know you can, and I know you can, you know, cover me on this one, coach. He was locked in. Like, he wasn't very conversational with anybody, which is not a bad thing, but you go up to him, he was very straight to business, said hi, how you doing? Have a couple, you know, laughs here and there, but man, when I talk about a machine that is locked in like the Terminator, coach, this man is locked in. And just seeing him opening up like this with a big, authentic smile. I mean, can you tell the world right now, like, who this man is? And am I right? Was he locked in?
Oh, he was definitely locked in. Did you guys get to see the NBC Lester Holt?
I did not. No.
Monday night. Yeah, you'll have to look that up. He was, you know how the nightly news stations, CBS, NBC, ABC, they come on and Lester Holt does that.
Former
show.
Chicago guy.
Yeah, and he has a feel-good session at the last, 2 minutes of the program. And Travis Clayton was the feel-good session for Monday night getting drafted. Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, pretty awesome.
And I know Travis is going to be going to work. He's going to be playing tackle, it looks like. And him being drafted, I mean, do you feel I know it's going to be all about proving yourself and kind of going to go backstage with you a little bit. Now being drafted in the 7th round, 221st, a lot of people think, oh, he's automatically on the 53-man roster. Is that true?
No.
Exactly.
That's not true. No. You gotta earn your stripes. And he's going to certainly have to earn his stripes. And I think he's got a pretty good chance of doing that. I really do. Yeah. So, go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob.
No, I was just saying, and I wanted to piggyback off you on that as well. Everyone in the IPP, and I said this off air, the main mentality is let's get to work. And they should honestly just trademark that, because every single person in this class of 24 has said, thank you. Now let's get to work. Thank you. Now let's get to work. I text Pat when he got signed to the Jaguars. He goes, thank you, Rob. Now let's get to work. Time to get to work. Talked to Charlie when he got signed with New Orleans. He goes, thank you, Rob. Now it's time to get to work. Is that the mentality that, we asked James this too, but I want to ask you, is that the mentality you feel that you guys either train, or was that just built inside these guys when they got there?
I think it's a little of both. James does a great job in the morning meetings in motivational speaking. Okay. I don't attend all of those things because I come from my house to go there to work in the morning. And a lot of times Melody and I will walk on a track before, but the meetings that I've been to that James has held, he always has a message for him, make the boat go faster, go to work, whatever it may be, and he does an unbelievable job, him and his staff, of getting those guys ready for the day. And that's what it really is take it day by day, conquer the day that's there, and then move on to tomorrow. And
right.
God put your eyes in the front of your head, not in the back of your head. So look forward to the next day. Hopefully you'll get that chance to do it. And they do a wonderful job of that, of preparing these men for those things.
Go ahead, Roy. Roy's on a little bit of a buffer, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that newscast.
A little bit of a buffer.
Yeah, you're a little delayed, but go ahead.
Still ask the question, or you want me to
go for it? Go for it.
All right. My question I have, Coach, following the news, I don't know if you're seeing it coming up out of Chicago. Kevin Warren, the new Bears president, who built U.S. Bank Stadium up in Minnesota, has decided to shift gears from Arlington Heights and want to build a stadium in Chicago, which in essence, it sounds good. But you're down by the lakefront. You got the skyline there. It looks nice on TV. So they want to keep all the profits and the revenue from the Taylor Swift concerts, Beyonce, etc. The Park District wants their share of the money, and not to mention taxpayer money. And it's a whole mess. They own the property in Arlington Heights. The only problem is they don't like the taxes that they're going to be charged by Arlington Heights, but they would own the property outright. You wouldn't have to share or give anything to the Park District. I mean, what are your thoughts? You think the Bears should they own the property in Arlington Heights, just build there? Or should they still try to go through this kit and caboodle and dog and pony show with Chicago?
Well, I'm not from Chicago, but I can only imagine how the Chicago people feel about Soldier Field not being an option anymore for play. Okay. I was in Georgia when we played in the Georgia Dome, and then there was nothing wrong with that Georgia Dome, and then they tore it down and built the Mercedes-Benz there. So, draw the SEC championship games and such. And I'm sure Chicago is no different. They want the revenues from, like you said, the concerts and other events that go on in there. And, it's a tough thing. The people of the cities that this happens to, they feel like the ownership kind of has let them down for certain reasons. I know my brother went down to the implosion of the old vet in Philadelphia. That's what it meant to him. He said there was over 100,000 people there for the implosion of the old vet. So people get sentimental towards these stadiums, and rightfully so. And man, Chicago, Wrigley Field and Soldier Field, how much better did that get? I mean, so I can see the sentimental value with the people of the city of Chicago, and what the Bears should do. Arlington versus, the San Francisco 49ers, and now the LA Chargers are on a former racetrack, just like Arlington was a racetrack.
Right.
They're a former racetrack property, but, they own all the rights right now. So that's the thing to do. That's the trend in NFL ownership and the way that they're leaning. But boy, I sure would like to see him stay in the city of Chicago, me personally.
And I'm going to answer that with you. I feel and I don't know if you saw any of the blueprint per se of what Chicago's looking at, to how they're building it with the boardwalk and all that right off the lakefront. I feel that would be a smart decision. Unfortunately, on the political side of things, they're going to be in a lot of debt. I think I don't even know how much it is, Roy. You'll have to help me on it. It's billions of dollars to do this, but they're going to be in such debt to do this, which could be holding them back from building exactly what they want to build. And obviously, the stage has been set with the Rams, in my opinion, with SoFi Stadium, how that looks. And then you look at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. That stadium's amazing. And Roy, you actually visited Allegiant Stadium when you were in Vegas, and you said it was phenomenal. Just an amazing modern day stadium that needs to happen. And with Chicago trying to host the Olympics, host a Super Bowl, maybe a WrestleMania, a Taylor Swift concert, like he was saying, and so on and so forth, just the big major events, that's how you're going to get out of debt. And I see what their vision is, but at the same time, I would love, and I agree with you, Coach, I feel Chicago does need to stay in Chicago and stay on the lakefront, because that's the heart of where the Bears are. I don't see the Bears moving into a suburb. Kansas City Chiefs, on the other hand, I don't see the people even caring about that. I don't know if you saw what their future stadium was going to be looking like. It's just that we're in the future now. We're in a new era, in my opinion, of the sports world, the sports entertainment world. I mean, look at TKO, the WWE with the UFC. We're changing. I mean, the sports world is changing. The pitch clock now and the MLB. The NHL changing rules now as well. I mean, we are in a new era of sports. And if we're in a new era of sports, why modern day the stadiums, which I think would be phenomenal, but exactly it's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money. And I think that's what's holding everything up. So we're going to give Roy real quick an option. He's going to try to log in on the phone. So we want to make sure that he can stay with us. Has buffering issues, boo on that. Hey, technical difficulties do happen. It fucking sucks, but what are we going to do about it? But Roy, I know you've seen this with Bayron. I'm gonna give you a chance to go in on your phone if you like, and that's up to you. You want to try to get on your phone moving forward? Or you're gonna say F it and just go with the flow and take the kicks. It's up to you.
He looks good in that buffer.
It looks good in the buffer. I like it. He's going to be a little bit delayed, but that's okay. I want to give a little promo out. Come back. All right, we're gonna while you're doing that, I'm gonna save some time, Coach. You haven't seen this yet, but ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna show you a little bit of a 30-second ad that I had to do for Dubby. Check it out. There you have it. W.GG.
Love it.
Have to do what you got to do to be creative. And I tell you what, that reaction was kind of real. I'm not bullshitting anybody. That tasted really good. W.GG, 10% off. Use our code HJC Media Group at checkout. Just get yourself a starter pack. It's $18, $23. To the door. You can't go wrong with that. And I do want to wait for Roy coming back in here. I feel so bad, Coach, because we've been working on this all day, trying to get everything set, squared away to go. And we're not sure what happened. He was at a very low, megabytes for his internet. And they said, we're going to give you 5,000 megabytes, which I'm being facetious, but we're going to try on his phone now and see how it works. Let's just hope that this does work for him and he's on Wi-Fi. And let's bring back, ladies and gentlemen, Roy Herman to the stage.
Yeah.
There you are, Roy.
I'm here.
There you are.
It's better. It's better. Let's see it here. Let's make sure everyone knows who you are. Bam. There you go. Roy Herman, Bolingbrook, Illinois, on the screen. We got Coach Dunnie, Coach Paul Dunn with us, the two-time guest on good old House Jack City's Backstage Sports Edition. We want to thank everyone once again that's on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. My brother and my sister-in-law, Nikki, watching in on Facebook. So thank you guys. Shout out to my nieces. Shout out to my furry nephew, little Marshy Marsh over there. I know he's probably over there wagging his tail right now. So I'd love to have the family watching. And Roy is joining us on his phone today. And it looks like the Wi-Fi is working a lot better, Roy.
Yeah.
So you look a lot better on the phone. It must be a computer thing.
What's wrong with it? I don't even want to talk about it because it's really pissing me off. But I got more to say real quick because back to that stadium issue, and then I want to bring up one more thing, and then the billionaires, when they are billionaires, billionaires, they've made a lot of money, and then they want the taxpayers to come in and pay for things, i.e. Jerry Reinsdorf, father of the White Sox. But I have such a problem with that. And Chicago's got to figure it out. I mean, if they're going to build by lakefront, I'd love it. But don't expect us or Fields renovations. So I'm sorry. I had to chime in and bitch about it because, I love football, don't get me wrong, in all sports. But, hey, man, I don't make their money to be supporting their stadiums if they want to pay for my house or other people's houses coming down. But real quick, Coach Dunn, did you hear about Bobby Lini
Ooh, Roy.
Yeah, Roy's breaking up, but I will say this for Roy. He did on the last time, the show that we were on, said that George Hallis used to throw nickels around like they were manholes, you know? Yeah, I understand his point there, even though his voice was a little bit squeaky on it. But yes, I do understand that. Yeah. So,
Yeah, right, let's get you back. Yeah, we're get back on the computer because you sound like you're in the Terminator 5 Judgment Day, to where the computers are about to explode. So, or you might have to get off your Wi-Fi. It seems like your Wi-Fi is probably screwed up right now. It's not syncing in, but it's okay. We'll get things going. So when we get Roy back here momentarily, we got about 15 more minutes with Coach here. Coach, got 15 more minutes with us?
Sure.
All right, perfect. So I want to show you Bayron real quick.
Yeah,
this is something This is something that I haven't seen you. You haven't seen this yet. So on that, perfect, ladies and gentlemen.
I've not seen this.
So we're going on to Bayron Matos, Big B, Bayron. Has many names. He goes with his Instagram is big_manga 07. So let's go ahead and check this out. I'm gonna share the screen here. Nope, wrong one. Dun, 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 dun. Share the screen. There we go. Here he is. Boom. All right. So Roy, I'll get you back in here if you want. And he's gone. Let me go ahead and remove him, and he'll be back here shortly. All right. So here he is, and here's the moment. You see Dom's right here, and I want you just to see this embrace and how happy he is. And this is right after the draft when he found out that he was getting signed by the Miami Dolphins. Here we go.
Oh, so good.
Do you see his emotions?
Oh, that's great stuff. Yeah, great stuff.
And you see they're proud of you, your boy Rob. There's George, very happy, obviously. So really good stuff to see there, Coach. I'm just very happy for the guys, and you're just seeing that for the first time, and you see the emotion coming from him, and he's just he's just a good guy, a good soul, and like you said, he's one of the first Dominican players to ever be signed.
Yeah. Well,
and what a place for him to be in Miami. He's going to fit in just fine down here. Yeah. He's only 3 hours from us, and an easy visit.
Yeah.
So he has no excuses coming to get his stuff out of your garage.
No, I know. So you got to understand, James left me in charge of this program for like a week and a half, and he sent these guys back here until draft time, and then James, he went back to London,
Mm-hmm.
So I said, James, you mean you're leaving me here by myself? And he said, yeah, Dunnie. He says, it's just going to be you and the two guys. You get them here, get them there, do whatever. I said, okay. This was on a Friday. We had breakfast at First Watch. And I said, since James put me in charge of the program, my first official decision and act is, what time do you guys get done tomorrow with lifting? This was a Saturday.
Right.
They said, we'll be done by 9 o'clock. We go over to Kevin's at 8 o'clock. I said, okay, I'll be outside to pick you up in front of the IMG Academy at 9:15. We're going down to Siesta Key Beach. Okay. And you're going to meet my buddy, Chris Mosley, who I work with up in Canada. And Mo's worked with the Dolphins and he worked with Tampa Bay, and, he's now out of coaching, but he's a great football coach. Well, to see these two guys go down on Siesta Key Beach, and Moses doing punch drills with them in the sand, and the whole works was great. And then we fast forward through the week, and Bayron was so worried. Travis's mom did a great job of outfitting him for the draft.
Right.
But Bayron had no suit. So Melody and I took charge of that, and we took him down to the men's warehouse down here at the mall, the UTC mall. And Melody was kind of his fashion designer, right? And they picked him out a really, really nice suit. They were so worried about how they looked on there. So I brought what I call my funeral suit in on the one day. And, you know, it's the suit that Melody's going to bury me in, but it doesn't fit me anymore. So I said to Bayron, try this on. He said, man, it fits like a glove. And it did. It fit like a glove for him, you know. So we had a backup plan, but he got the suit from he got the suit from the men's warehouse, and he had my funeral suit in his bag if it was a backup there. But he looked fantastic in the suit that he got from the warehouse, and you know, all was good. But yeah, we had to outfit him. And you know, I'd tell one last story that I really haven't told anybody, and other than James. And I got a text from James when I was in charge of these two guys finishing up, and you know, all this whole training session, they've had those monkey bikes over there. You know, the bikes that go 5 miles an hour, and they got the little parrot on them that's
called the Wizard of Oz bikes. The Wizard of Oz bikes. Yes,
you know, they got a little basket on the front, and you certainly can't do any damage because the thing doesn't go over 5 miles an hour. And that's with you pedaling as hard as you can pedal.
Right.
But anyhow, it came down to the last part of the week, and I still had another week left with them. I said to Travis, Travis, let me ask you something. Have you ever driven in the United States before? And he said, no. And I said, well, how are you going to get by? I said, you're going to get drafted by some team. What do you think? You're going to call an Uber service every day? James is going to pick you up. Dunnie's going to pick you up. You know, your head coach from the team that you're at is going to pick you up. Your mom's going to be there with you. No, I said, you're going to be all there by yourself. So you got to learn how to drive. And I took him out on the IMG campus, and I let him drive my Jeep. Well, first off, his knees were up, you know, to his chest in my Jeep. Right. And, you know, you could tell that he was kind of nervous, pulled in here, pulled in there, parallel park, back it up. Okay, here's where this is. Because, of course, over in London, they drive on the right side of the road, you know, not the left.
And that was an experience. Yeah, that was. I've been to London for the first time this year, Coach. When I was with IMG, we went out there for a game, played against NFL Academy, which we're very, very well aware of with Coach Hagan. Shout out to Coach Hagan, by the way. He's part of that.
Yeah,
and George as well. He's also part of that as well. So, it's just an awesome experience, and that's the first thing that I saw when I went out there was, this is so weird. Everyone's driving on the opposite side of the roads. Their roundabouts are so dangerous. Like their roundabouts are dangerous in London. Like they're I don't even know why they're there. It's basically said you all can move at your own pace. However you want. But it was just one of those where you can stop if you want to. I mean, I don't know. But I saw these little cars, and it just reminded me like James Bond, going back into the 70s. You see those nice little, every time I see those little cars, I don't know what they're called. My brother might know, but
minis.
Minis. I always talk of like tea time, like someone's having tea in the back seat there every time I see someone in those. But it's just an awesome experience, and just downtown London itself was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, with him trying to drive here in the United States, I don't even know how that's going to go for him. He's probably going to have to learn how to drive all over again.
We tried to teach him. Bayron and I tried to teach him, and I think he did a really good job, other than one thing. Okay. So I got him out on the 53 after we putzed around in IMG's campus for about an hour, backing up, pulling forward, the whole works. So I said, okay, we're going to go on the highway, Travis. And you know, he took a right out there on 53 outside the back gate of IMG. And I looked at him, and I knew that he had both hands on the wheels. And, you know, I said, buddy, you're doing great. I said, you're really, really doing good. I said, but the speed limit on this road, Travis, is 40 miles an hour. I said, you're doing 5 miles an hour right now. I said, that monkey bike that you were driving, I said, that could probably pass you up on the sidewalk right now. I said, you got to put it on. Boom, he'd speed up. So Bayron led him because they took all the monkey bikes away when everybody else left, but these two guys came back. He let him drive the golf cart that they issued him. And man, did they issue him a nice golf cart at IMG, you know. And we've had a lot of issues over the 8 years that I've been at IMG with golf carts. Okay,
I know.
That's why we have the monkey bikes. Jordan Mailata turned one over in the back of the campus on me the one time, and you know it's just been hell ever since. But anyhow, Travis and Bayron had this really nice golf cart, and I get a text on Thursday morning, right before I only have one more day left with them, you know, and it's at 4 o'clock in the morning. Of course, London time, they're 6 hours ahead of us, and James is texting, and he's texting the boys and myself like somebody from IMG seen the golf cart up at Detweiler's last night, which is a grocery store here, and immediately I thought to myself, I would have done the same thing. Okay. I would have definitely done the same thing. I would have taken the golf cart up to Detweiler's, got a good square, you know, pizza, a hoagie, whatever you're going to get. Right. All right. Okay. They might even had a beer. Who knows? But that got reported to them. And I tried to teach them on that next day, like for every decision that you make, there's a consequence that needed to be paid. And I took them on the stadium steps where James and George and Dom and all those guys ran every Friday, and I ran them up the stadium steps. And they came down the stadium steps, and they promised James never to take the golf cart over to Detweiler's again. So they learned their lesson.
I bet they did, because I sure as hell would learn my lesson. That's something you don't want to mess with.
Travis has learned to drive, and I even asked him, I said, do you have your license from the UK? He says, yeah, I've got my license. He says, but Dunnie, we take public transportation. We take the train and the bus and everything else. So he's learned how to drive, and I didn't teach him about any snow.
Right.
So I'm going to have to go up there in the Buffalo,
my goodness. Yeah. I keep forgetting about that.
Winter, teach him how to drive in the snow, because as you well know, that's a whole nother deal,
yeah. Right? Yeah. Coming from Chicago, you know, I always dreaded those winters because it wasn't really a lot of the snow that came down, Coach. It was the black ice and the fog that came with it, and then the sideways blizzard conditions. And obviously, living by Lake Michigan, you get that lake effect snow. And a lot of these Chicagoans and anyone that lives up in the north understands what lake effect snow can do to you. And that's what Buffalo is going to be getting a lot of. I mean, how many games have they either got suspended or postponed or overall or even canceled for that matter in the Buffalo area over the many, many years. And even this past winter, they had some record snowfall coming from the lake. So he's going to have a lot of challenging, snow per se, not just playing in it, but if he's learning how to drive and he gets his license here in the United States, that's going to be the biggest challenge, I think, for him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. A little update for everybody. Roy, unfortunately, is not going to be able to make it back with us. So we're going to finish out the show strong for him, Coach. I feel really bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go backstage a little bit with his internet. We've been trying to figure out the whole internet thing. I'm not going to call out his internet provider, but his internet provider that he's with was supposed to give him more megabytes, which they did. He went to go get a new box. They said everything was going to work. He got this new camera, new drivers installed. As you can tell, it's not his computer, because even his phone is getting robotic. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. We wish and pray Roy's internet to work for the next show. He's very disappointed. I understand that. Who wouldn't be? He was very excited to be on the show with you, Coach. So, he's a little disappointed.
Luckman's in his house.
He'll love to hear that. He needs to laugh. So
it's funny. His house is funny. The only thing I can think of.
Absolutely. It probably is. I mean, he just doesn't know it.
Yeah.
But I want to give a shout out to Roy. Roy is, a brother of mine. Love him to death. I know you do, Coach. And Coach, you did a phenomenal thing for him. I thought that was awesome what you did for him. He really does appreciate that. He was so excited to have this conversation with you this week with us. And I know you'll be on for a three-time in the future with us. So I'm sure once we get you on for the third time in the future, maybe I'll have my friend on and we'll talk a little bit of bourbon. you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe have a conversational piece, and maybe he'll teach us something that game. So that show. We'll have a little collaboration. So shout out to Freedom_Maltz, my boy Jeremy. Coach will probably be watching in because I'm sure he's going to be interested on hearing that.
Yeah.
So, Coach, we're coming down to the final stretch here, and to end the show, I know we talked about you have a nice little shrine behind you of footballs there and some memorabilia of some stuff that's important to you. Is there anything you like to share with our crowd here that you haven't had a story to tell, or anything that means something to you that you want to share with everybody?
Well, I mean, I think you can see a lot of that up there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the top row is all Atlanta Falcon balls,
Mm-hmm.
and just things that were like first victories. There's one up there where we actually right up top here. Can you see that, Rob?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
The Falcons 24 and the Raiders nothing. We went out there in Raiderland and we rushed the ball. We had 458 total yards. We possessed the ball for 45-15, and rushing we had 252 yards rushing, and that was a really good game. You've seen that Matt Ryan just retired as a Falcon, so pretty cool up in there. And then you open this up and Max Pershar had his Super Bowl champion Rams right here that I'm pointing at, and
oh, nice.
That means a lot to me. And then a Pro Bowl ball from the 2011 Pro Bowl. That's before it went to flag. Then there's various rings in here from places that I've been, the championship rings, and old little stadium of the Kansas State Stadium. This is 03 River Stadium right here.
Oh, wow.
Okay, from Pittsburgh. And, if you come over on here to this side in here, you got a little old Pitt Stadium. And there's pit rings, an Orange Bowl ring from the national championship game, Oklahoma and Penn State. But this is old Pitt Stadium that was knocked down right here, okay,
Right.
That you can see. All right, if I come down over into here, with the Cathedral of Learning, and then some various rings and things like that, some horse memorabilia. So all good. This is as we talked about earlier in the thing, my daughter gets me a hat, but that's the official bourbon glass for the 150, which we have a collection from our neighbors, Bob and Mary Beth, that gave us a lot of Derby Cups throughout the years they lived in Louisville. So that's one of the things there. And, probably the thing that's a little bit different in here is this is a candy bar that Coach Jack Sherrill, my old college coach, when they retired or inducted him into the Pitt Hall of Fame. He's a tremendous coach. I owe a lot to Coach Sherrill. I got to go up there, hopefully see him over this. This is a little bit different here. This is something that we did in Atlanta. I hope you can see.
That's so cool. Yeah, I can see that, Coach.
If I tip it that way, it's a little bit more. I just don't want to tip it over.
Yeah.
But those coins right there, those Falcon coins.
My father would love those.
They are what you call a challenge coin, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Smith, who was our head coach, great head coach, when you made the 53-man roster and the practice squad, each man, including the coaching staff, was handed one of those coins. And this all came from a military background. And what they would do is they would give our military men in World War II a really nice meal, and they would send them on their way, and they would give them one of those challenge coins. And the objective of the military move was that the men would tap in. They'd tap the coin.
Mm-hmm.
They'd tap in saying that they were all in, because as we well know, a lot of them never returned home.
Right.
So it was one of those deals that Coach Smith had that, and it just meant that everybody that is in this room is part of the team, and we want you to tap in for the season opener. And you guys all should be very proud to have one of those coins. And each coin had on the back of it a little logo, kind of like what James does, row the boat or things like that. Just a little saying, finish type of things like that. So they're very valuable to me. But probably the most, there's only 2 pictures up here that you have, and I would go through the first one. This is my buddy Hammer. Okay, right there.
Let me get that full screen on that one there, Coach. There we go.
Yeah. So
he's wearing the wrong shirt, though. I think he needs a Cubs jersey.
But you know what? My wife, she put that all together, and that's us too, and how we relax.
I love it. Me and my lady were there at Anna Maria Island yesterday.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
but we play little games of backgammon down on the beach, and she's been my inspiration for the last going on almost 40 years now. So
that's
amazing.
She
put this all together for me. I didn't have anything to do with it.
That's amazing.
When I came back from Canada, we bought this house, and I never even was in it for about 5 months. And then I came home, and my wife put that case together. And I know I wouldn't have put that together if it was on me, but she did it for me. So, I got to give her a shout out for that. Yeah, no question.
We got some shout outs here. Carrie and Ivy say, very cool memorabilia, Coach. My buddy that is actually in the stream right now, Freedom Malts, Jeremy, he says, I'm here. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. I'm telling him, if he's still listening, Jay, if you're listening, if you can give Coach any recommendations that he might not know of, pop that in the chat right now. I'm sure he'll be ready to order that bottle right now, unless you want to send him some samples. We'll send Coach some samples, and maybe he can do a blind test with you on your show.
All right.
I want to give a shout out once again to my brother. And here's Roy earlier. Questions, folks. Now is your time. We're running out of time with Coach Paul Dunn, the two-time guest on our show. Shout out to Roy Herman. Roy, I know you're listening. We love you, brother. Sorry about your internet. It's okay. Shit happens, right, Coach? Shit happens.
Yeah.
You cannot control technology. You can't. You can only just live with it. And that's it. So shout out to Roy. Roy's a great man.
All right, Roy.
Maybe we'll have some questions that you can answer in a future show to be the three-time guest with us. But we're coming down to the final stretch here, Coach, and I just want to thank you once again for joining us on the show. You're a friend of ours. We love you. It's been a great experience with the IPP with you. Could be a third season for me with you. I don't know yet. We'll see what's happening. But
I'd love to do it. You guys are. I love your platform for the mental health part, and you guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. Just get Roy on the on the thing there, so his microphone squared away.
Well, and that's the thing. It's probably just an internet thing, which is crappy because he just got a damn thing fixed. He went out and got a new box that this internet provider told him to get. But hopefully we'll get that shit squared away. I know he's upset about it, but because he really wanted to do this show flawlessly. And that's just the dedication we have here on the podcast. We're trying to do this as best we can for everybody. Hey, this is a learning experience, guys, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing this live for you. And having Coach Dunn on here, it was just a fantastic way to have our first bigger guest on the show live, that is. And we're hoping Coach Dunnie's going to come back and be one of our regulars. And I'm sure you will. I think you're having a good time. We'd love to have you. And your stories are just amazing. Everyone loves it. And here's Jeremy right here. Coach, since you were talking veterans, Horse Soldier, I can't even say it. Horse Soldier Bourbon is a recommended bourbon to try out.
If you can't say it sober, you're certainly not going to say it after you have a cup of bourbon.
That is a good freaking motto there. I like it. And their story is great. The bourbon is good. And they're out of Florida, he says.
Awesome. I will try it. No doubt. No doubt.
Make sure to follow my guy, Freedom Malts. That's Germ, goes by Germs. My boy Jay, he's very knowledgeable, and as you can tell, freedom_malts is his IG, which was running on there. He does an awesome series. His Instagram, his editing is great. So want to give a shout out to Freedom Malts and the whole collaboration crew with Freedom Malts. The Whiskey Franco, shout out to you as well, my friend, and plenty more that are out there. So they've been awesome to collaborate with us, Coach, and they've been giving us some follows and promoting the show. So I want to give them big thanks to where credit is deserved. Shout out to my brother, shout out to Roy, shout out to my sister-in-law, my nieces, everyone that's looking in. My father, I know my father's a big supporter, and I know, Coach, my father loved those coins that you had because he's a huge coin collector. So he was probably, when he sees this, when he does, I'm sure he's going to be like,
wow. Coins. Yep,
absolutely. So with that said, any last things you'd like to say, Coach, before we exit out of here and enjoy the rest of our Sunday?
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoy the time speaking with both of you men, and you're doing a great thing. Like I say, I love your platform, and I'll be back.
That's awesome. And with that said, guys, we're coming to the end of the show. Make sure for everybody that is watching the show to like, subscribe, and make sure to hit that sub button on our YouTube, because that's what we're trying to build off of. And Twitter X, we're still learning it, so give us some time. Just give us that follow button, share, retweet, whatever you can. It helps out the community. We're mental health advocates, and with Coach here, it's just been phenomenal. I learned a lot from this man, and it's a pleasure to call you a friend. And Coach, once again, thank you so much for being on. We're going to have you on for the three-time guest coming on in the future. And ladies and gentlemen, we have many big guests coming up here in May, so make sure to stay tuned and watch our shorts. Follow, like, subscribe, and make sure to share this video, because without you guys, this isn't possible. So with that said, I'm Rob Eggers for Coach Dunn, for Roy Herman. You guys been watching House Jack City Backstage Sports Edition. Take it easy, guys. Whoops, wrong one.